So, Emma, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about the values we hope to instill in our children.
Welcome back to the blanket fort, the imaginary blanket fort, here in the Crippen household. The baby is at nursery, and the 4-year-old is off school ill. In another room. So
Good parenting, sat on a tablet watching Bluey.
So it's time to chat about parenting, have some laughs and relax as we do some arts and crafts. This is
Don't Wake
the Baby!
That was poor.
Oh, I was thinking before we jump into our usual spiel, we've been doing this for quite a long time now, got a lot of episodes, number of years. We've never come up with like a name for our community of listeners. You know, like some podcasts give like a quirky little name to people that, you know, their audience.
Or all-nighters. He hasn't told me because he has a new job.
No, I don't know. This isn't prepped at all.
No. I feel like I might be good at this.
To be fair, this was a note I had down, but I was intending to like brainstorm some things beforehand, which I've not done. So I'm also coming at this completely without any ideas.
I feel like it's kind of like Don't Wake the Baby or Paul.
Yeah, because normally you do like a kind of pun or a kind of play on the title of the show, but like, I don't know, Don't Wake the Parents. There's nothing that really like works. Yeah, let us know if you're listening. If you're one of our regular listeners, let us know what you'd like us to refer to you as. Our small little group of 50 to 80 of you that regularly listen.
Yes, I wanted to shout out. There's like 2 German listeners when we were looking in the data.
Oh yeah, we get some regular listeners from some countries abroad.
So
we're very impressed.
Dankeschön. Thank you for listening. I was very impressed. I was like, I don't know who they are in Germany.
We're assuming it's the same people, but considering it's like the same cities.
Yeah.
Like
not that we're like stalking you. It won't tell us everything. It just tells us your general city in Germany where you are. So thank you. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah. Welcome to our international listeners.
It is surprising where we get people listening from.
I know. If you're new here, or if you just want a reminder, we're based in Yorkshire. We're a family of 4. We have 2 children, Lily and Lola. One who's 16 months.
Yeah.
No, that's not right.
I was going to say 15, but I don't
something
actually know.
like that.
I always have to count on my fingers. I'm always like November, January, February, around 15 months.
Yeah, and almost 5-year-old. We've not done our thing. I'm Elliot. We're doing this very backwards today.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, sorry. If this is the first one you're listening to.
Well, this is how it normally goes.
It is, but we normally do have an order that we've just ignored today. I got too excited. Yeah, you normally tell a little fact about yourself.
I'm Elliot, and I'm the one that can only do a ponytail with Lily's hair.
Okay. And I'm Emma, and I do basically all the styles available for Lily's hair. She's now got to the point she likes to look on my phone for a new style, normally just before school. Like, I want new hair today. Let's make it quick and doable.
You're our family hairdresser. Well, it pairs quite nicely because I'm the family hair cutter.
That is true.
I cut everyone's hair. I'm a typical dad who can basically just do a very shoddy ponytail. That's the limit of my abilities.
It's lucky I grew up in a house with lots of sisters, because I was just the designated hair person.
Yes,
which was lucky that kind of became my role.
I was an only child, so I'm not used to...
No, you had no...
I'm getting used to being in a family full of women.
Yes, that's true.
Right, we should crack on. Bing, bong, 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 bing.
Is it parenting achievement time?
It is
parenting
that moment
achievement time.
Where we share parenting moment we've unlocked this week.
Yes.
Anything gone wrong? Any parenting fails that you've want to share? We've been back.
This was one. Everyone buckle up. It's a stressful story.
Stressful story. Oh no.
Lily has Fridays off school because we do part-time before the statutory age.
Fridays are homeschooled for us while she's under 5.
Last Friday, me and Lily went to Leeds for the day, and we went round the Leeds City Museum, and then afterwards we went to Disney on Ice. She brought her toy lizard, and it's like a shoulder one.
From Frozen 2, the fire spirit.
Yes, correct.
There you go, some context.
When she was like, I'm bringing him with me because we're going to see Elsa.
Yeah. Because
in my head already, I was like, oh, great. The lizard that sticks to your shoulder that always falls off. That's the great thing we want to bring with us around Leeds. Anyway, we've been to the museum, still had Lizard. Then went to Disney on Ice. Fantastic show. Then I was like, we need to rush because we need to get our train. So at this point, she was carrying Lizard, a huge thing of candy floss, her Stitch hat, and her bag she insisted on bringing with her, even though it barely had anything in.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Just outside the train station, I looked down at her hand. I went, "Where's Lizard?"
Oh no!
Her little face.
Where's Lizard?
And then her face was looking at me, and she burst into tears. I don't know.
No.
And I was going, "Oh, it's okay. Let's calm down. Let's just check your bag. Check." Because I kept thinking she's wearing a coat. It could have gone in her sleeve.
Oh yeah.
I feel like
we have had many stories like this where we've lost things. The number of times we've retraced steps, and you're thinking, where could it be? Will we ever find it?
She was so heartbroken. We could buy another Lizard, and I forget to her Lizard is real. So she's going, but it won't be our Lizard. He's lost and alone. I was like, oh yes, of course.
Oh yeah.
Yes, we will.
Yes, of course. So you made it all the way back to the...
all the way back to the arena. I looked at every single, and I kept thinking, well, someone could have picked it up. They might have handed it in. We don't know. Got to the venue, and then there was all these like security stood in front of it, and I was like, oh, can we get past? They went, oh, do you have a ticket for the show? And I was like, oh, we've just been in. And actually,
because the next
lost.
Show's
and
on.
the first man said, I'm sorry, we can't let you in. We have to prepare for the next show. And then he saw Lily, like, in floods of tears. And he goes, oh, no, what's wrong? And I was like, we've lost Lizard. And she couldn't even speak. She was just like, and I was like, we've lost Lizard. And he was like, okay, come with me. So then he was so nice. We went past all these security.
Yeah.
So all these people kept going, they're not allowed back here. And he's like, they've lost a Lizard. So then he brought us to the front of the arena and he said, you guys have to wait here. I'm going to go in. And you could see, bless him, there was like about maybe 5 people now running around looking for Lizard. And in my head, I thought, I bet we haven't lost him in the arena. I bet we've lost him in the streets somewhere.
This effort and he's not even
and they were all looking. Or on the run, and they went, we found him. Go wait by this door. And I was like, oh, thank God. And I remember thinking, please don't let there be another blue weird creature that
they come out with someone else's toy that's completely different.
And then I thought we'd have to pretend it was Lizard, but Lily wouldn't.
Yeah.
So we got there, and then they came out with Lizard, and I was like, oh, thank God. And I was so pleased. And at that point, I was like, we've missed our train. So I had to message Elliot going, we're coming back later than planned. She was thrilled. And then I immediately went, put him in your bag.
Yes, we don't want to lose him again.
Parenting fail because I shouldn't have been letting her carry that much stuff by herself.
Well, it's a very relatable story. We've had it happen so many times. I'm sure other people have had this happen. Get in contact if you have your own story, a similar story. Yeah. We'd love to hear them.
How far have you gone back to get a toy? Have you got to drive somewhere?
All the usual places, social media, blah, blah, blah. Message us, comment below on YouTube or however you're engaging. Find all the stuff down below. Okay, well, stop messaging your other mum friends and let's sit and have a chat today all about stuff to do with faith and spirituality, values, Christianity, God,
raising children, all to do with that.
Yeah, and how that relates to parenting. Probably need a little bit of context and caveats and introduction here. We'll have to do this throughout. I know, yeah.
We don't speak for any specific church or denomination. Don't go like, oh, that's not what they say. That's we're just people who have our own personal faith.
True. Particularly as, I work for the Methodist Church here in the UK, in Yorkshire. But also because we're not a Christian parenting podcast, this isn't a conversation that's exclusive to people of faith. You're very welcome here if you have no beliefs or anything in between. Mm-hmm. We're just sharing some of our story and experiences. We don't often jump into this kind of type of conversation. We don't try and beat it over your head, but we thought this was an interesting
It's a very good phrase. We don't try and beat you over the head with
it. Yeah. We thought it was an interesting topic to discuss. Obviously, our podcast is particularly focused on babies and toddlers.
Yes.
So we're sort of looking to the future a little bit as Lily's becoming more of a child. She's not a toddler anymore. Yeah. Some of these conversations beginning to crop up. But, I think even from when you first have a baby, as us, as a team, we're husband and wife, as a joint.
As a unit.
Yeah, we kind of need to be on a similar page.
Well, I did think about this. I don't think we've discussed it in full. about what
not
we
for a
were.
while.
No.
And I think what's interesting about this conversation is it's not something that's set in stone. Like,
Yeah.
we might discuss it now, and I'm quite happy if stuff changes. I think my opinion has changed a lot in the last 10 years. I think it's radically changed in the last year for me. And like I'm sure it will, faith isn't like a fixed stationary thing. Like, I mean, maybe for some people it's just a constant certainty, but I think for most people it's like an evolving sort of
like ebbs and flows
understanding of what do we think about life, and how do we want to explain that to our children. So and we're not experts, we're not like
theologians.
We don't have like a background in how do you talk to children about difficult topics.
No.
Like, we've recently been trying to navigate how do you talk about like heaven and stuff with kids, and like, we don't have particular expertise in like the correct way to do this, but we'll just share what some of our thoughts are. Okay, anything else we need to say? I suppose, particularly if you've stumbled across this as a first episode, and maybe you are a Christian, depending kind of what your background and experience is, we should probably point out that we are like very liberal, progressive, open-minded, inclusive.
That implies a lot of Christians are closed-minded, though.
Well, I think that's kind of.
I don't think as a UK base, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's
I don't
very
want to
difficult.
tar everyone with the same brush.
No,
but I think the stereotype is.
Yeah, but I think
Christians...
religion in the UK is very different from religion in the US.
Yeah,
so
yeah. But remember, like, we have an international audience.
It is true.
Like,
we're not slating Americans who listen. I'm sure you're very nice people.
Yeah, but I follow a lot of Americans online.
That's
true.
They
would also say Christian nationalism is not Christianity.
Oh yeah, true.
Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we need to caveat that we are not that.
Yes, true, correct.
And so just. You're welcome to disagree with us, but also just be aware that...
if that's going to annoy you throughout the podcast, maybe don't listen.
Like, we hold some fairly radical, like, opinions, and maybe not so to, like, the average person on the street, but I think...
certain communities.
I share a lot of my faith online and get a lot of pushback and abuse from other Christians.
Yeah.
Whereas I think, actually, for most of our normal audience of parents, this will all be very normal.
Yeah. I think most people are generally, I'm not saying most people are liberal, but I don't think most people are that extreme with their views.
I'm too embedded in like church culture.
Yeah.
Like, I would never like voice some of this stuff in a church. So I'm very aware of that. Whereas you're quite, you talk with normal people.
Yeah.
So
most of my friends aren't Christian at all. So I think most of the things I say, they're just like, they wouldn't see that as groundbreaking. They'll be like, oh, that seems very normal. Okay,
well, with all that out the way, where do you want to start this conversation? You've got some notes on it.
I do. So I was going to answer the question that I was hoping you'd name the podcast title, but are we raising them Christian?
Are we raising our kids Christian?
I think we're raising them culturally Christian, in that we take them to church. They have a lot of Christian influence in their lives.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I'd be really mad if my child grows up and then isn't a Christian. I more want them to make up their own mind for everything in life. So I wouldn't want to be like, you have to do this, this, and this, and you have to believe in this.
Agreed.
I more want to introduce it and go, what do you think? Basically, I want to introduce the idea of it. And then if they want to go a different way, that is fine.
And I think it's just inevitable. We live in still a fairly Christian cultural kind of country.
I think so.
There's a lot of stuff.
Despite what like reforms say, I still think.
I know, yeah.
Like most holidays we celebrate our Christian holidays,
like Christmas and Easter. Yeah. Like most people go to weddings and funerals and Christmas services.
And a lot of people I know have their children christened,
even
if they're not especially religious. So
like it's inevitable then that some of that culture and like conversation influences how we raise our children.
Yeah.
Like I think for me the bigger question, are we raising our kids Christian? Well, I suppose the bit I'm struggling with and battling with is I'm not quite sure anymore whether I consider myself Christian anymore. And the question isn't whether we are. The question is, do I want to raise my kids Christian?
True.
I suppose that's where I am.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think most things, as in, I think culturally Christian I like because that's the culture I've been brought up in. My main thing is that it's like a fine line just to be like, these are some beliefs we hold. You can have your own belief, but it does help answer awkward questions sometimes. like the hedgehog that died on the road. And Lily goes, what's happened now? I can say the hedgehog's gone to heaven. Which, yes, is a kind of get out of jail free card to be like, it is dead, but don't worry.
These sort of things.
It's gone to a better place.
I'm still not sure where I'm okay with it at the moment with Lily's age. As she ages, I think I really want to like change some of... I don't want that to still be what we talk about when she's like 14, 15.
Yeah, but I think that at that point she has her own mind. Yeah, she can decide if she thinks it's a good concept.
Are you thinking like you're raising her Christian in the sense you're introducing her to some of these concepts and stories, but you've said already like you're open to her taking her own path, to being critical, to open mind, like to exploring. But would you intentionally introduce her to other concepts? You're quite happy to talk to her about heaven, but would we as a family be happy to like purposefully introduce her to like practices and like cultural stuff from other faiths? Other
so it's easier for us than other people because I have 2 sisters who are Muslim. We were all raised Christian. That is the faith they're now in. So it's very easy for me to basically introduce her to Islam because I can be like, that is another faith that other family members hold. You can kind of go and experience that when they celebrate Eid and stuff. And part of Fun Fridays is I've been trying to take her to a mosque and try and take her to like a Sikh temple. I haven't got around to planning those yet, but they're things I really want to do. Because it's one thing which is a value is that I want all my children to be open-minded. So I want them to have other experiences of different faiths, just purely because I think once you know somebody's faith background, you can help understand different cultures a lot easier. Like something might seem really weird to you if you have no idea why there's a practice of doing that. Whereas if you're like, oh, I've been to a mosque and I see that's what they do. Oh, and this is why they do that. Yeah. Or I've been to a Sikh temple and that's why they do it. I really want her to be influenced by a lot of religions, really. But we're both quite radical in that I think all the religions we are worshipping the same God. We are thinking about God in very similar ways. Therefore, I don't really see much of a difference if she decided to be another religion.
They're all exploring the same mystery, just in different ways.
And we're all trying to do our best and be good people.
They all have the same like values and core teachings if about you say, like, loving others.
Abrahamic religions, so Christianity, Judaism, Islam. We're all Abrahamic religions, so we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
We're so like I get really annoyed when people are like, "Oh, but they're so different and foreign." I'm like, "No, they're not. That's what Christianity was like years ago."
Yeah.
Like we're not all really. It just annoys me. People get very annoyed, and I get there's reasons why we're different. I'm not saying there's not, like, I'm saying obviously if you're a Muslim, you're not going to suddenly be a Christian.
Yeah.
But
so
I'm saying
much of that is
we have a lot of overlap, and therefore it's very easy for her to experience other religions and go, oh yes, I recognise that. That seems familiar.
It's a disservice to ignore that. We live in a multicultural society where to kind of raise kids to be like, our understanding is the correct one and the only understanding.
It also just seems very boastful.
Yeah.
To be like, I am right about my thing, and no other religion in the world is right.
But this is how we understand faith and spirituality anyway, which is that it is an uncertainty, that it is, doubt isn't the opposite
that's the point
of
faith, isn't it?
Yeah.
The point of faith is you're believing in something. You're choosing to do that.
For certain. No. Like, that's not how it works. So, like, how could we ever claim that our version is completely true? But it's interesting. So the way you've been talking about it is, and maybe it makes sense because of your interest in languages and some of your interest in history and culture.
Yeah.
You're talking very much about some of the cultural aspects, the traditions, the practices.
That's what I find interesting.
Yeah.
That is what I would like.
Whereas I came into this conversation thinking about the beliefs.
Oh, I see. I think the belief is up to the individual. So I wouldn't ever tell her you have to believe something. But I would like to go, this is the history of this. This is the history of this. You can choose to believe, you can choose to whatever you want, but I would like you to know the basis of what we believe
and
why we take you to church. So you have some knowledge of your parents' belief in their background. But I wouldn't at any point say you have to believe. When we go to church, you don't have to sit there and believe everything that's said.
Well, let's talk about that for a second then. Like, we do take Lily to church. I mean, we're not regular church goers.
About once a month.
It's very tricky with kids. If you're listening to this, you're a parent, like, even just getting out the house is tricky, going places. Church is also tricky.
If Sunday club is not on, we will not go.
Yeah.
Because it is really hard to keep children interested in certain environments. And I'm not going to make them sit through that.
But also, again, for me, like, I'm all right going at this point. I mean, I've been going to church most of my life. My parents, are Baptist ministers. We've both grown up in a church context. Yeah. So we're not anti-church. We're not against it. But like,
I think it can provide really good things. Churches can be excellent.
I mean, I just find it quite boring and no longer agree with quite a lot of what they teach in church. I would say I do think it's important that we like redefine what we mean by church, and that like if you're listening to this as a parent, like, it's not essential that like I'm not encouraging you to go to a building on a Sunday once a week, but like for me, church can be anything. You know, that's a way of community, a way of encountering, the something other, the God, the divine, a way of spiritual practices, anything, and that can take the form of like a family walk. It can take the form of being out in nature, of doing stuff, have deep conversations, of all sorts of things. It might be your little mum group that you chat with on WhatsApp, and maybe that's your like church, for a want of a better word. Faith community. It's hard to get away from the stereotypes, but like
and I want to say I think some churches do it really well. Like, I don't want this to be an episode where we're like, oh, church is rubbish, it doesn't suit everybody. Like, I think some churches are really good and are very valuable. And
if it works for you, that's great. Like, go for it. Like,
I think some people get a lot from it. Like, I think at the minute, Lily does have some nice friendships in church. And I think it is.
Oh, definitely.
Good.
Like, it's
like, really hard sometimes to justify, like, for instance, she's getting really good at swimming.
Yeah.
The only time we can do that is on a Sunday. So it is hard sometimes to weigh up at the moment in her life, if we're having those conversations at home, is it as important? Like, it is hard sometimes.
Especially when I have very little interest in going to a Sunday service.
Well, this used to always be the way. I don't know if this is true for everybody else, but it used to be all the mums taking them to church.
Yeah.
And the very few dads. Like, my dad never went to church.
That's a good point. Yeah, that always used to be a case growing up as well. Used to, like, wives come without their husbands. I don't know.
Because it's very interesting.
I used to think and say like that it's somehow like more women had faith, were like believing. I don't know that I would say that anymore. I would say I think church almost is more geared to women, and that we don't offer a lot for men. I
think that could be true, and I think a lot of it on a Sunday, sometimes you want to take your child to an environment where you feel like they might learn something. It might be good for them.
Yeah.
It's good for you. It's also a bit of a break if your kids can go to a club. Like, I think there's lots of reasons you might take your kid to a church that aren't necessarily just
for me,
based.
like, I have no interest in communal singing, which makes
Whereas I love singing.
Like, the majority, like, other than prayers and Bible and sermon, like, that makes up most of what happens.
You're part of the wrong denomination for not liking singing, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Methodists love a good sing song.
Yeah. I would do better with, like, Quakers or, like, even pagan
I quite like the Quakers, I'll be honest. Where I grew up in Darlington, there's a lot of them.
So, again, at this point, when Lily's doing, like, fun craft activities and stuff,
and once again, it's learning, like, Bible stories. So it's not...
But this is where I might divert from you, though, because we have got Bibles in our house that we have read with Lily, but I don't know whether I want to teach Lily those.
Oh, I think because a lot of it's just history. So you're fine to learn the stories, and then once again, you can critically think, do you believe or disagree with it?
Well, I agree with you, but
because a lot of it's just
do that
sources.
if we read them to her.
Yeah.
The problem with going to church is that you've got someone else teaching
and
influencing.
Well, that is true, but like at the minute, I'm always with her at Sunday club.
Oh, yes.
So, and I'll be honest, the church we're in is very liberal, so it's not like they teach it like this, and this.
It's not as liberal as I would like.
No, but the Sunday club itself isn't particularly traditional.
Yeah.
So,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
So it's very like easygoing.
It's very relaxed.
Yeah. like Jesus was in the desert. We're going to draw a desert.
And in some ways, once she becomes much older, so like a teenager, I'm very happy going to whatever, because then we can come home and have a constructive conversation about it and be like, well, this is what I thought of that. This is the bits maybe I didn't quite agree with or relate to. What did you think? I think I just struggle and worry a bit about when she's in quite, formative ages. I don't know, maybe like 6 to 10, when she might take a lot of it literally.
But I don't mind that. But this is one bit different, because I think I grew up like that, and I still don't think that now. Like, I still had time enough to develop and change. And because my parents were very, like, I wouldn't say they're particularly liberal, but they're very open to just you having your own mind, your own conversations. So at no point was I told, like, well, that's the only way you think. As people can tell, because like 2 of my sisters have converted to another religion. My family weren't terribly like, you have to follow this line and that's it. So I don't really have a problem with that, because I think it's proof that we were both raised in that and we don't think that now.
That's a good point. That's a good argument.
I think as long as at home you've got a space where you're in a setting where you go, you know what? It's up to you. If you think that's what we learned at church, if you think that was true, that's fine. You can believe that. If you don't think it's true, that's also fine. If you want to talk about it, great. I don't have a problem with anything. But I do think it's helpful, once again, from a historic point of view, to know the stories and then why Christians would do certain things. So I think it's important to me that she knows some of the stories. She knows why there's reasons and why there's celebrations and why we do certain things.
Sure. I mean,
like,
again,
why we're celebrating Easter. Like, it's good to know why we're doing that.
I mean, again, you're quite an academic like that. You're quite interested in that sort of stuff.
I am.
I don't think most people who go to church like really understand why we do stuff that we do as much as you do. I love a bit of theology and I love a bit of history. So because the reason we celebrate Christmas and Easter isn't because it's in the Bible.
They're all pagan holidays we took
Jesus
over
taught us to do.
Make it acceptable.
Yeah, exactly. They're very modern inventions. So like, I don't know whether people in church really understand what they're celebrating.
Some do. But...
I mean, for a positive look at it, I suppose I reflect on that really great quote, and actually it's a great film recently. Wake Up Dead Man on Netflix. You know, the one with...
He's looking at me like I'm going to know this.
We watched it together.
Did we?
The Daniel Craig murder mystery. You know, there's been a series of them.
Oh, yes, that was very good.
Knives Out film.
Yes.
It's the third one. It came out like...
That was a very good one about faith.
So it was all about religion. And there's that great quote from the priest. They're both discussing between the characters whether this is real or not. And like, almost giving the argument from an atheist point of view. But then what the priest comes back with is kind of a great quote about like, yeah, sure, a lot of it is fairy tale, it's stories, it's like dressing up these buildings in extravagant ways to try and make you feel something. But the question is not whether it's true or not, but whether these stories help us to kind of understand and experience something that we couldn't otherwise do without those stories.
And I think a lot of it you do know is like parables, that's not a word, parables. And it is told in a way that the people at the time could understand. So, for instance, like...
But some of the narrative is clearly influenced by mythology, by common trends in how storytelling structure works.
Person who works in translation, I always have a big problem that obviously we're reading in English and that's not the language it came from, so you don't have the context, you don't have the words, you don't have the full understanding from, which of course you have to translate it. No one's going to learn ancient Greek or whatever, a lot of it's written in Latin. But then I get annoyed when people are like, well, it says this, and I'm like, did it? Does it say that? Because from an academic point of view, have you read the Greek? Did you know what they meant by that in that cultural context?
We are still making discoveries today about what some of the words kind of mean in context.
And I think that's great. I think it's, as a language lover, I love grappling with linguistics and did they mean that? I get annoyed when we talk to people who are very strict and they're like, well, this is what it says and that's what you have to do. But I'm like, well... But it's really hard to have.
We're getting very deep in the weeds here.
And we're meant to be on parenting.
We're meant to be on parenting. We're also meant to be like... I don't really see my faith as like based on like biblical truths. That's not how I like interpret what it means for me to be a Christian, or to be like, I suppose if you had to like nail down what a Christian is, I'd say it's about like following a way of life that Jesus inspired.
Yeah.
But even that, to me, like, I think I would more define it as being like instilling a set of values.
I agree with that.
Our children, and that's more about what it means to me.
Yeah. I think the main thing is to go, what values, which may come from your faith, it may come from another thing. If you're a listener without a faith,
I've no
it may
like,
come from a different
to say
thing.
that like Christian values are better than other people's.
No.
That's not at all. That's why I prefer to talk about faith rather than Christianity, because I do have a more sort of...
Yes, I just think it helps people because that's our cultural context that we're in.
Yeah,
But yeah. No, so should we discuss what values we're trying to raise in our children and how we're trying to do that?
Sure. I don't know if I have any answers for that, but do you have anything?
No, I've just come up with it now, but I thought it was interesting.
Okay.
One of the main values I really, it's not like I'm a really good person, but I think I was naturally raised to have this value, is that, like, acts of service. But I like to help people. Like, if I see somebody inconvenienced at all, and Elliot hates it because I'm always getting involved in other people's business. But so there's a poor
You're very selfless, altruistic.
But I'm saying I think that's how I was raised.
Empathetic.
So I would see my parents go out of their way to help people.
Yeah.
And that's what I want for my children.
Yeah.
And once it becomes your value, it's kind of part of your core. So I can't help it. If I see somebody, like, we were in hospital once, we were stuck in A&E.
Yeah.
And there was a poor lady who had a broken leg. She couldn't move. And they were telling everybody, well, welcome to England, everybody. Like, it's going to be at least an 11-hour wait to see people.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I better go around and ask people if they want drinks. And Elliot's like, why? Why are you going around? And I said, well, they don't have anyone here. There's not a charity. A lot of these people can't move.
Yeah.
What are we meant to do?
You're just very kind.
Yes.
You go around and help everyone. I know we should all be like Emma. But sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to. Why are we doing this? Why are we like?
I can see, because I remember when I said it, you just looked at me like, really? We're in hospital
do we have to go
here.
And get everyone water? Really?
And I remember I was like, it's okay, you could sit there. I'll go in and talk to him. I think half of your stuff is like, you're not really sociable, so it's hard for you to go out your way. I like to keep myself to myself. Whereas I'm like, oh, that person needs help. I'm going.
Yeah. I don't know if this is coming off well for me. It sounds like I don't like helping people. I'm quite empathetic. I just think,
and I don't know, like, I think it is how I've been raised, and that's what I'm really hoping to instill in our children.
Why don't I have this value?
I don't know. But together, I'd like us to try and instill it in their children, because I think it's nice. Like, the world would be so much of a nicer place if everybody had the thought of, oh, that person's like alone, that person is in trouble. Like, there's a woman at the platform who was crying one day, and I was like, do you need any help? Like,
yeah.
I think
well, okay. A lot of... What about this then? I think
I just think a lot of our culture is quite selfish, and I don't want that for our children.
I agree. I wonder, actually, is it how your parents raised you? You grew up in the north. That is like
true.
Quite a like stereotype of what northerners are like. They look out for each other in their communities. I unfortunately grew up in the south, and whether my parents instilled it or not, I think our communities didn't have that same
And I think
bond.
Even in the south, it's harder just to talk to strangers.
We don't do it.
Whereas I do think in the north that's very normal.
Yeah.
Like, it's very normal for someone to come up and talk to you.
I wonder if actually that is a reflection on our upbringings, but not necessarily our parents.
That's true. It could be the region you live in.
Kind of the location of where or the culture of. So actually this question goes beyond how are we raising our children. It's actually about who are we surrounding our children with?
Yes,
what sort of community do we want to raise our children in?
And that's why church is good, because those people should be.
be.
Well, it's true, because they do like food banks and stuff. A lot of them do good things.
Yeah.
I think that is why church is a good plus. My number one is I really like them to be kind, and if they see anyone who needs help, who they would offer it.
Are we okay?
I've got number 2. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can I give one?
You can.
See if it's similar to your one.
Okay.
I would say like curiosity.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
So like just like passion and interest in the world.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about this before at length a little bit.
It's one of our main reasons for doing what we call Fun Friday.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, like, it links into the education system.
Yeah.
Like, one of our biggest pet peeves with that is that, in my experience, and I feel like it's still the case today, is that it kind of beats that curiosity out of you.
Yeah.
That, like, it just tries to make everyone uniform and actually leaves you with a lack of interest in learning.
And it makes you hate things. Like, I hated Shakespeare because I had to learn it.
Yeah.
And Shakespeare's actually really good. But when you've been told you have to read this play, now you have to do this essay, now you have to... And if they'd gone, oh, we'll take you to see the play, how much more would I have enjoyed it?
Yeah.
But because that's not... And I get that's not the budget every school has. Maybe some very good schools do. I think a lot of the way it's taught just makes you not love it. And I think we're both real champions of if Lily's passionate about something, and I'm sure we'll do it once Lola has passions, but she's 1 at the minute, so she just likes cars. But because like Lily likes the arts, I'm really passionate about being like, well, let's go to lots of plays. Let's feed
I think
your
it does
passions
trickle
and your
down
interest.
into like what we do with our young children, because I think some of these, like the 2 values we've already mentioned, sort of do influence like some of the styles of play and learning that we like try to instill from a very early age.
Well, that's
like,
true, yeah.
If you're a long-term listener, you know, like we're quite into Montessori and other like, what else are we into? Just, you know, like stuff like that independent play and imaginative play and
trying to make everybody equal.
Even just like play itself, just like being like, that is how kids learn, that I think is a reflection of that value of trying from an early age that kids can follow their passions, can explore the world, and trusting them.
Yeah.
That like we don't need to motivate them for them, that they have the self-motivation to like, to flourish.
For instance, I was asking Lily, what do you want to do on Friday? And she's told me she wants to go to a museum. And I want to be like, I don't know if most 5-year-olds do want to go to a museum.
True.
Because they haven't experienced that much.
I think that could be more of a reflection on...
Oh, well, there's bad museums. That could be true.
No. I was going to say like leading by example. Like I think in order for us to instill these values in our kids, it's not about telling them stuff. It's not about... I don't know how you would like force values on kids, but it's about us embodying them ourselves and our kids then noticing that those are things that so like the fact that we show interest and like show passion for museums and history and learning, and I think that's what Lily is attracted to. It's not necessarily...
Yes, that's true.
Like, I think any kids you could take to a museum, they might or might not be interested in it. But
I think it's also
the way we react to it is what's important.
And it does depend how fun you can make it.
Yeah.
You could make a museum very boring if you wanted to. Yeah, no, that's a good one. I want to say like acceptance, but I don't know if that's a good word for it. Like non-judgment.
Like
inclusivity. Maybe
like,
that's it.
Yeah, the sort of welcoming, like accepting of others.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Like I don't want my children to look at people and like, of course you are. Like, of course they're going to judge people when they see them. That's just a natural part of being human. But
yeah, there's unconscious bias which you have to unlearn. But like whatever the opposite of bigotry is,
I want them to go like, oh, that person believes that, and that's cool.
Yeah,
that person looks that way. That's fine. Like I don't want them to have anything and go, oh, well, that's really different and weird.
And again, I feel like looking at how like Gen Z are acting in the world, I'm quite confident that that's not something we'll have a huge challenge over, because that is just the way the world is heading. The way young people inspire me, that they are way more inclusive than generations above them.
It's a good point. It just worries me seeing certain stuff with Trump and what he does,
of course,
and like that people voted for
with
that
reform here. I get it.
And we do know like that is a majority older people, and
we know like we've got friends and family who are mixed race and have other ethnicities, and like racism is still like a massive thing. We always said we were going to do an episode on that at some point.
Yes, we do need to.
We really need to get some other voices like guesting on the podcast to talk about it. But yeah, it's like even that, like it's still an issue today. It is,
but like, we're not going to pretend it's anything in the past. But so one of my primary things is not judge people based on anything like that.
So, but that is, again, if we do an episode on it, we can go deeper into this. But that is something we've done from a very young age with our kids, is to, like, you specifically went out of your way to buy books to read to Lily and Lola when they were babies and up, that like showcase different cultures, different races, different colours.
Because I was listening to a podcast years ago when I was pregnant with Lily, and they were talking about how a lot of books that are meant to be inclusive basically single out the child as being weird. So they're like, oh, this main character is black. Yeah. This main character is in a wheelchair.
Well, it's
kind
of how it is in films and like
and they were like,
media.
That makes it great. Be like, you're saying, oh, this kid's weird or different. Whereas if they're like, oh, it's a book and the main character happens to be black, it's not really something that singles them out. They might show them. So like there's a good book we've got. Oh, I can't remember what it's called.
I can literally see, I don't know if it's the one you're thinking of. I can literally see one over there.
Oh, no, but this one, yes. This one's The Little Mermaid. And it's Once Upon a World. Once again, these books are fantastic. Yeah. Big shout out. And they basically, all the characters are from different cultures.
Yeah.
So this one's like a Latin American one. Yeah. See, so books like, I even forgot we did that. So books like that, and there's a book we have about, I think it's called Sunflower Sisters, and it's showing like an Indian wedding and an African wedding, and they both like live in London.
So again, it's not just like replacing characters in known stories with someone of a different race, but it's actually like telling cultural stories that are like introducing kids
so
to
I can be like, oh look, that's what a wedding is like in this culture. This is what this wedding is like. And like Lily loves it because she goes, oh, they wear such beautiful, because you know she's fashionable. Yeah. They wear such beautiful clothes. As people who are white, I don't want her to go, oh, they're different. I want her to go, yeah, they're black. They might have a different culture, but that's normal.
And in the same vein, that's normal for everybody. Kind of doing a similar thing with like LGBT stuff. Yeah. Like it's a trickier conversation in a way, I think.
And there's not much. It's easier now because a lot of film and media, for instance, I really like in is it Strange World?
Strange World. Oh yeah, yeah.
The boy in it is like fancies another boy.
Yeah.
And no point.
Again, if you might not have seen this because it's a pretty obscure, but it is a Disney film.
And I like that it's not really alluded to as being a problem. They're just he likes another boy. That's who he fancies. And at no point has Lily questioned that. Yeah. She just accepts that that's the thing. So,
like, we have introduced as a concept that, like, like girls can marry girls and boys can marry boys.
It's just hard from our cultural context because nobody we know.
Yeah, and I was going to say this about race as well. Like, I think one of the reasons we've really tried hard from a young age is because we live in rural Yorkshire. Yeah. The diversity here isn't amazing. She doesn't naturally encounter
many people of
huge
different
diversity, which is a shame. But it means like we've intentionally tried to focus on that because it is a value that we want to raise our kids with. And so we've started that young, that they are exposed to other, stuff. Yeah, I'm sure there's other things probably in that same category that we could talk about more about. But that all plays into just the same.
And we can value. Do that on a separate podcast topic. So that's we'll save some of our stuff for that. But yeah, that's one of my main things. Is I think it kind of goes along with kindness, but I just want her to be aware that people might treat other people differently, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
But I think once again, like a lot of good storytelling shows that. So like. Wicked's great because Elphaba, we had a whole conversation about why don't people like Elphaba? Because she's green. Well, why would it matter that she's green? Oh, well, everybody else is a different colour and that's why they don't like her. And Lily kept being like, well, that's not fair. And I said, it's not fair, is it? That's not the way we should be. So there's so many things you can watch and have great lessons that you can take from and talk to children.
And this is for me, I mean, this is what I do in my job and my work, but is also what I would love to do, because I think just some of the Bible stories are just not very relatable.
And it's hard because I think for children, there's so many words. Yeah. It gets really
the culture and context takes so much understanding.
Yes.
Whereas we can...
Even for adults. Well, yeah, for us to try and understand stories, well, what language is it in? And what was the cultural context? And why do we think that?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
But you can take modern media, you can take Disney films, you can take like books, you can take very simple things, I don't know, like the Gruffalo or something. And like out of that, you can develop conversations about values, about what
and
we
even
believe.
faith.
And faith.
Like, I think Moana's a really good one for faith. Sorry, this is going against another
This is basically, you're veering straight into my job. Like, I do a series of videos I share where I explore like faith and spirituality themes in Disney films. So
yeah, maybe check him out. So like Moana, like she's trusting the sea to guide her. It's like you trust God to guide you. Like it's a very clear kind of
metaphor.
Yeah. Nice. I think there's a lot of good things out there that you. I'd
like
follow.
to like that's a good segue to shift the conversation on a little bit. We may not have covered all the values there, but
we've only done 3. But that's
we could talk forever. Welcome to the ad break. It's not really an ad break, but it's a little segment where we can just we don't have any sponsors, but just highlight a couple of things that we'd like to draw your attention to.
I would say no sponsors yet.
Sure,
somebody might want to sponsor us.
We will be ad free forever.
Ow! I really want I'm putting out into the universe. There's people, all those American celebrities like to say.
Yeah.
I would really like Teach Your Monster to sponsor us.
Oh, you've been tagging them a lot on Instagram.
I really like them. I think this is... I'll sponsor them for free. They are so good at helping children learn how to read.
This isn't what this segment was going to be about. This isn't a sponsored ad. Stop this nonsense.
Add them in. I feel strongly that they're really good.
What we're meant to be talking about is we're going to share about how we're able to do the podcast. If you're a long-time listener, you'll know we work in partnership and a kind of some financial support from... particularly the Kairos movement, which is a little sort of experiment in the Methodist Church, and particularly relates to this episode because the Kairos movement is a faith community. It's a network of pick and mix spiritual rhythms and practices.
I always like the phrase pick and mix.
Yeah, I know. The others don't like when I use that phrase.
Do they not? No. I like it because you can choose the best sweets and pick and mix.
And so we are one of those pick and mix little communities.
Best sweet, telling you.
We're the best sweet of the bunch. A lot of it is like online discussions, but particularly it's a faith community that's different from a church because it's like what we've been talking about in this episode. It's about a space that's open, that's based on values, not on beliefs. So like there's lots of people who are like on the fringes of church and faith who have a shifting faith that they're like find uncomfortable. They're not quite sure what they believe in anymore. And like together, like the community that's dispersed are kind of working through and exploring some of that stuff. Yeah. The Kairos movement does align with our values that we've mentioned particularly. So like if you're looking for a space that's inclusive and LGBTQ friendly, who's like open to people of like different understandings and religions, who's curious, who's it's a co-created space. There's not like a hierarchy or like people that give sermons. It's more like we share together, and there's all sorts of different groups, some more religious, some less religious, based around interests and like podcasts and discussion groups and
like photography,
arts and crafts, all sorts of different like bits and bobs that like you can just do some of them, you can do all of them. So I mean, if you're interested in exploring more with us about faith and spirituality, then maybe the Kairos movement is something to utilize. It's not like something you need to come and belong to or sign up to. Like you can dip in and out like and just use it when like alongside however else you engage with faith and spirituality. Like if you go to a church or don't, or however else you can maybe like utilize some of the groups and rhythms alongside that. It's difficult to describe.
It is.
Take a look at our website if you want to know more. www.kairosmovement.org.uk/don't wake the baby. We've talked about cultural, like Christian traditional like practices. We've talked about values. It's interesting, like when you say there about like Moana and the sea being a metaphor for God. We've not talked about God.
Oh, that's true.
Which I suppose comes back to my thing about like beliefs. But again, I suppose in some ways, from our perspective, it's quite simple because it's about like, as you said at the very beginning, it's giving our kids the freedom to grow up to believe whatever they want to believe. But I don't know, like if you change the question, like from Christian, which has the kind of cultural connotations, to be like, are we raising our children to believe in God? How would you answer that question?
Yes. Like this sounds harsh. I want them to believe what I want them to believe, but I do. I would be sad if they were an atheist. I'd like them to believe in a higher power at least, or some kind of spirituality. And I would accept that they were an atheist, but that would be hard for me. Because I think a lot of my life I have believed there is something, even if I don't give it a name or follow everything to do with it.
Yeah. I think this is where when I said at the beginning, some of my stuff's shifted over the last 10 years. I think that is what I would have said, certainly in my early 20s. Like, I mean, we had conversations about, would we marry a non-Christian? Like, how could we raise children with someone who didn't have a faith?
Yeah, true.
And I remember us having conversations about that in our like early dating sort of stuff. Whereas I think over time, particularly in the last year, like I've found it really challenging since having 2 children, had like quite a difficult 2025. And so like I would say I've lost a lot of my faith over the last year. So I would be very hard pressed to say now with certainty, like, I believe in God.
Do you live in a higher being, or do you just believe in kind of goodness?
Yeah, I think I would just call it the essence of life, like a sort of like like you say, the love and kindness that kind of holds all things humanity together, but not necessarily something that has a consciousness, has a
like a name,
powerfulness, has a I don't think I believe God. Again, this is like I'm struggling to like grapple with sort of the tension like between that's been around as long as like Christianity's been around, like with suffering and God. Like, how does like one exist with the other?
Because there's multiple theories. So like, sorry, this is Mummy's academic head. So there's a thing like God could have created the world and then he's left it. God could have created the world and he's like, well, people have free will, they can do what they want.
Yeah,
like there's various concepts
I know.
where you could be like, God exists, but there's different options basically, that scholars put forward about, is he a present God or is he just left it? Like there's a lot of stuff like that.
I just think like it's brought me to a place where I can no longer believe in a God that can intervene or is powerful. It has any ability to change the events of the world. We might call that free will.
I think I do struggle with that, especially recently with a lot of the conflicts.
Yeah.
I'd be like, surely at some point, like,
if God is, as we say, all loving and all knowing, then like
it is hard. Yeah.
It doesn't mean can discount there being a God, but more I like
your idea of him has changed.
My idea of a God has radically changed.
Well, I agree with that. I think a lot of it I put down to myself to be free will, but it is hard sometimes when you see people suffering to go, how is that okay? Like, especially this, I'm not trying to get political, but when people say they're of a certain faith and do things to other people, I'm like, how can you actually be of that faith?
Yeah.
And do that to somebody else? That's just beyond me.
Yeah.
If you actually believed in a God that you would ever do any of those things.
Well, that's like, there's a lot of research and stuff. The most common sort of response about why people aren't interested in Christianity is the actions of other Christians. Yeah, because we don't live out and act in the way that we don't. What's the expression? We don't like walk the talk. We don't do what we preach.
You talk the talk, but don't walk.
Like
walk the walk. Yeah,
you know, like we say all this stuff, but like it's very rare to find Christians that are non-judgmental and are. You know, all that stuff. So I see the irony in that we're sitting here and I'm the one that works for the church and my job is specifically to share faith with people. And I'm the one that's like really
I think it's hard though, because as part of your job, you come across a lot of Christians who aren't very Christian. Whereas I think I live in the normal world where most Christians I come across are just quite pleasant and nice.
I also come across a lot of strong atheists, a lot of people of various other perspectives, like who I agree with,
yes,
who put.
But I think your problem is that you're often on the internet and you're always seeing the most extreme opinion of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas I think I don't have to see that all the time, so it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? It just makes my world do a little bit nicer than someone who has to see that all the time.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, maybe. I think I do think a bigger impact is that like in the last year I've been like massively struggling with my mental health, and that's had a big impact on like some of this stuff, which is about like how we see life and the world and ourselves, like, you know, spirituality. Like you said before, like it would be sad for our kids to grow up and not believe in anything. And by that, I don't mean like that they have to pick a religion.
Oh, no.
Or even describe themselves as religious, but that they don't like have any sense of mystery and wonder and like a sense of soul, a sense of what it is to be a human. I want them to have
some form of belief in something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what makes the world interesting. But
yeah.
I wouldn't say you have to be any religion. I'd just be like, whatever is fulfilling for you. I feel like we keep veering off and not talking about the children.
It's true. Well, that was always going to be the risk with this sort of episode. It is basically us talking about our stories and understandings of faith rather than specifically about kids. Because that is the conversation. How are we going to if we can't? We've got to be able to be on the same page with it, with what we want and what we understand, what we believe, in order for that to impact how we parent. We've described some things of how we're implementing it.
Yeah, true. And you're right, they are quite young for a lot of conversations.
Like, yeah, we've not got to the point yet where we can actually put some of this into practice. How do we wrap this episode up? Can we draw it back into babies and toddlers somehow to close out? I don't know.
Sure. It'd be nice to hear what values you'd like to raise in your children, be them Christian or 100%. Just like...
Yeah. I'm always fascinated to know what other people, particularly if you like don't come from like a Christian background. Like, I'm really fascinated to know.
Or have they thought about it? Like, do people think about... Because I feel like we like to think everything through and discuss everything.
Yeah. I do think we're quite unique, maybe unfortunately, in that like, this is why we're both on the podcast, that we do this in partnership. I do think, you can tell me if you think I'm wrong, but in a lot of households, it would just be often the mum that like makes a decision, like as the default parent, to be like, well, you know,
this is what we're doing.
This is what we're going to do. But we do like just like, this is what this podcast is. Like, we discuss stuff and decide how we're going to navigate through this new parenting challenge.
Yeah. And I know some of them will be natural. Like we said before, if you act in a good way, you do something that'll be a natural value your child has.
Yeah.
I think we're very methodical. We like to think about things like, how would we do that? What's the best way to do that?
And I think I'd encourage people to like check in as well. Like, even if you've like had this conversation before and made a decision, to revisit it now and again, because I'm recognizing that my stuff is changing. And like, so we had a conversation, and as a result, like, Lily had a dedication.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know, like, is a little like less
kind
mainstream.
Kind of like a Christian.
It's like a christening, but like, rather than it being a sort of
a promise at the
God
child.
Is, like, I don't know the right words for what a christening is really, but a dedication is about literally like dedicating your child to God. Not that they are now a Christian, but like saying we are grateful for this baby's life.
Yeah, thank you to God, they're healthy. And
then you leave the decision to them about their faith till later in life. They can then choose to be
and we were
baptized or confirmed later.
Thinking about that was the right step for us, because we don't want to say they're going to be something.
But in the like 3 years since then, since we did that with Lily, because my faith is changed a bit, I have literally no motivation to do that again for Lola.
I know, but I feel bad.
I do. Like, I feel like we probably should do something.
Because I feel like Lily had like a party to celebrate her.
Yeah.
And Lola's had nothing.
Yeah.
Which is
but
partly...
like, from a faith and like religious point of view, I no longer see the like. I'm sorry if I'm offending a load of people, and particularly if you're someone who knows me for my work.
Yeah, it's hard.
I hope I'm not going to get in trouble like, for working for the churches. But like, I don't really see the point of it anymore.
No, my problem is I like the idea of it, and I do think we should do something. I think we have to discuss what that is, because we said we would do something with Kairos. Maybe it is hard because Also, Lola's just been a very sickly child. So at no point are we been in a good place to go like, we'll have time to plan something. Because I know like my mum, as soon as like I hadn't even given birth to Lola, and she's like, so when's the christening going to be? And I was like, I haven't given birth to the baby yet.
Yeah.
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 I'd like to do something, but whether or not it ever gets done.
I mean, this is a whole other topic we've really not got into and don't have time to talk about, but like the influence of grandparents. So our parents like are all Christians.
Yeah.
And maybe that has an impact and an effect on it. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to kind of dig deeper into what, you know, that sort of influence and whether that looks different for people who have
Well, this is when I'm like, my mum is
background.
very culturally Christian, but I really don't know about her actual beliefs because we don't really discuss it.
Yeah.
Whereas my dad's quite open about his beliefs, but not really bothered about christenings and stuff.
Yeah. And my parents are very like involved in church, love talking about church. They work for the church.
Yeah.
But like, again, we don't really talk about beliefs or faith. We just talk about church.
Yeah. I think for my mum, church has been a good, for her, it was really
Oh yeah, but I think for that
helpful.
generation, like there's a lot of people that found like real community there.
Yeah, because that's where she met a lot of her friends.
And I struggle trying to explain to some of the older people in like my circles, and they say, but you're always criticizing church. I'm like, yeah, but you had a really good experience, and that's great. I love that for you. I have not had that experience.
And I think it's hard because there's not many of our generation at church. Like the friends we've made at church have been really good friends.
Yeah.
But with my mum, because there was 4 of us, it was one of the only places that she could take us for free. And that there was community and that people were accepting of having 4 children running around. And so I think there's still certain churches who are open like that. That is a real lifeline for some people. But it's just unfortunate that that's not the case for every church. And I think that's why it's hard sometimes to like recommend it for everybody.
Well, it's particularly when I think, you know, the values that we've talked about, if they don't match up with what the values of the church, then it gets difficult. We're trying to be wrapping up. We've not been successful at wrapping up.
And we need to get back to Lily, and it's almost lunchtime and I'm getting hungry.
Thank you very much for listening. I hope this, again, very rambly episode.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Kind of vaguely connected to parenting. I mean, it's connected because you're listening to us and we are parents. And this podcast is about following our life and our messy thoughts.
True.
And that's what we're about. Any parting words, Emma?
Don't, because I'll start on another tangent.
There you go. That's the parting words from Emma. A great way to close out. Well, God bless, sleep well.
And don't wake the baby.
Off you pop, poppity-doo.
Poppity-doo. That's what Adam used to say. Instead of cock-a-doodle-doo, he'd go poppity-doo.